Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. If you're a parent, you know the dreaded 3 a.m. wake-up call all too well, right? Your kid is sick, the sheets are an absolute disaster, and that sheer panic instantly sets in. It is incredibly stressful, but today, we're going to validate that anxiety and, more importantly, give you a clear, scientifically grounded game plan. By the end of this explainer, you are going to feel completely equipped and confident to handle one of the most common, messy challenges of parenting.
In this explainer, we're covering the hidden causes, the real danger, the rehydration strategy, when to seek help, and finally, the slow recovery.
Section 1. The hidden causes. There's this profound amount of guilt we often feel when our kids get sick despite keeping a spotless home. You know the feeling. You scrub the counters, you obsessively wash every apple, you buy the freshest food, and bam, the stomach bug still strikes. Well, we need to clear this up right out of the gate. An infection is absolutely not a failure of your cleanliness. There's this persistent myth that if you just clean a little harder, you can build a fortress against these germs. But the reality is way more forgiving. Almost every child will inevitably experience at least one stomach bug, no matter how impeccably careful you are. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when.
It's also time to bust the whole playing in the dirt myth. We always picture kids eating mud or putting gross, dirty toys in their mouths as the prime culprit. And yeah, sure, that happens, but it's actually far from the most common cause. Instead, we really need to look at 3 much bigger, way more invisible vectors that literally sneak these bugs right into our homes.
It boils down to perfectly healthy people, room temperature food, and contaminated travel water. Think about it. People can carry viruses while feeling 100% fine, just passing them on through a quick kiss or sharing a spoon. And food, it doesn't have to look spoiled at all. Just sitting out at room temperature allows bacteria to multiply like crazy. Then there's water, which is a massive trap for traveling families. You might be super careful about filtering their drinking water, but what about the ice cubes at the restaurant or the tap water they use to brush their teeth? Sneaky, right?
So the crucial point here is actually biological. Why do kids seem to catch these bugs so much more easily than we do? Well, your stomach is basically a fantastic defense system. The acid in there destroys tons of dangerous microbes on contact. But young children naturally produce significantly less stomach acid than adults do. Their biological armor is just thinner, making them inherently more vulnerable to basically every germ they encounter.
Section 2. The real danger.
When you're in the thick of a stomach bug, the messy symptoms demand literally all your attention. But to truly protect your kid, we have to shift our focus away from the laundry mountain and look at the actual medical threat. Let's define what we're actually fighting here. People throw around terms like food poisoning, stomach flu, and stomach bug as if they're exactly the same thing. Medically, they aren't. They are totally distinct illnesses caused by different microscopic invaders, viruses, bacteria, or toxins. But from your perspective as a parent, the outward symptoms you see, like the vomiting, the diarrhea, that sudden crash in energy, they're virtually identical.
And because those symptoms are so alarming, it is absolutely vital to correct the instinct to demand immediate medication. Parents, understandably, get desperate and search for antibiotics, thinking they're the ultimate silver bullet. But the reality? The vast majority of these infections in children are viral. And as we know, antibiotics are completely, totally powerless against viruses. The goal isn't to aggressively nuke every germ. It's to support your child while their own immune system does the heavy lifting.
Which brings us to the true aha moment of this whole explainer. The biggest danger to your child isn't the dramatic, terrifying episodes of vomiting or diarrhea. No, the real, life-threatening danger is the silent consequence of those symptoms: dehydration. A child doesn't get dehydrated just because they have diarrhea. They become dehydrated because they are losing fluids way faster than you can put them back in.
Section 3. The rehydration strategy.
Now that we know dehydration is the true enemy, let's dive into some highly practical, actionable strategies. Surprisingly, your best weapon against dehydration is not plain tap water. When your child is sick, they aren't just losing water, they are completely draining essential minerals called electrolytes, like sodium and potassium. If you replace only the water, you can actually throw their little body further out of balance and make recovery so much harder. That is exactly why pediatricians strongly recommend oral rehydration solutions, or ORS. They're specifically calibrated to replace exactly what the body is losing.
But hey, what if it's the middle of the night and you don't have a commercial ORS in your pantry? Don't panic. There is a brilliantly simple homemade recipe recommended by the World Health Organization that acts as a great temporary defense. Just mix 1 liter of clean water, 6 level teaspoons of sugar, and a half level teaspoon of salt. Seriously, that's it. It might not be strawberry flavored, but it is vastly better than letting your child slip into dehydration while you wait for a pharmacy to open.
Okay, once you have your solution mixed up, execution is everything. The massive mistake parents make here is trying to get their sick kid to chug a full glass all at once to quickly catch up on fluids. Trust me, an irritated, inflamed stomach will almost immediately reject a large volume of liquid. Remember, slow and steady almost always wins this race. Offering just one single teaspoon every few minutes ensures that their sensitive stomach can actually keep that precious fluid down.
Section 4. When to seek help.
Even with the absolute best home strategies, things can escalate. It is incredibly important to know the boundaries of home care, so let's clearly define when it's time to stop trying to manage this yourself. We really need to ask this critical question loudly and clearly. You're at home, you're exhausted, your kid is lethargic. How do you objectively know what physical signs to monitor so you catch severe dehydration before it becomes dangerous?
One of the easiest, most reliable warning signs to monitor is the 6-hour mark. If a child with a stomach bug hasn't peed in 6 hours, that is a major red flag. It literally means their body is hoarding every single drop of moisture because the tank is running dangerously low.
But that's not the only sign. Check their lips. Are they dry? When they cry, are there zero tears? Are they unusually sleepy or super difficult to wake up? Do they have sunken eyes or surprisingly cold hands and feet? If you see any of these urgent warning signs or, and this is a big one, if you ever see blood in their stool or they have severe abdominal pain, do not wait. Contact your pediatrician or head to the nearest emergency department immediately.
Now, a quick note on fevers, which basically always tag along with these bugs. Interestingly, managing a fever isn't just about making your kid comfortable. A higher body temperature actually increases fluid loss because they're sweating more and breathing faster. So gently bringing that fever down is a highly practical, totally vital part of your overall hydration strategy. Lowering the fever literally helps plug another leak in their fluid levels.
Section 5. The slow recovery.
Let's move to the final phase. The vomiting is finally stopped, the fever broke, and a little color is coming back to their cheeks. Alleluia! As parents, feeding our kids is how we nurture them. So the immediate instinct is to feed them a big meal to build his strength back up. Let me stop you right there. Relieve yourself of the pressure to force food right now. Pushing meals during the worst stage or immediately after a stomach bug almost always backfires terribly. If they aren't hungry, do not force it. Your mantra should remain exactly the same. Focus on fluids first.
When that appetite naturally returns, and I promise it will, start incredibly small. Safe first foods are the boring ones: rice, bananas, applesauce, toast, simple crackers, plain potatoes, and basic broths. These are super easy for a weakened digestive system to process. You absolutely want to avoid anything greasy, heavy, or overly sugary for at least a few days. And that leads to a really common pitfall. Kids bounce back like rubber bands, right? Suddenly they're asking for pizza and ice cream to celebrate feeling better. But remember this reality. While their mood might have recovered overnight, their intestines absolutely have not. The gut needs several days of gentle treatment to fully heal all that inflammation. Taking it slow with food is the absolute best way to prevent a frustrating, totally demoralizing second wave of stomach problems.
Which brings us to our final thought. When you are standing in the kitchen at 3 a.m. mixing rehydration fluids, ask yourself, are you frantically trying to treat the messy symptoms, or are you calmly treating the child? Ultimately, your role isn't to aggressively fight every virus with medication. Your role is to calmly support your child with hydration, careful monitoring, and patience, providing a safe environment while their incredible, resilient immune system does exactly what it was designed to do. Keep them hydrated, watch for the warning signs, and know that you've got this. But it does kind of make you wonder, right? If we've been getting stomach bug recovery this wrong for so long, what other common childhood illnesses are we treating entirely backwards? Join us next time to find out.